Ladies and gentlemen, evil seldom enters our lives with a roar. Instead, it creeps in on silent feet, disguised in cloaks of virtue, convenience, or pleasure. To defend against such insidious forces, we must be vigilant, discerning, and courageous. Today, I will reveal 5 demonic signs that often go unnoticed, leaving individuals vulnerable to the agents of darkness. Evil rarely presents itself in its true form. Instead, it cloaks itself in the guise of something desirable or virtuous, making it difficult to recognize at first glance. This deceptive camouflage is one of the most insidious tools of darkness, luring individuals into spiritual traps without their immediate awareness. Its subtlety lies in the way it manipulates perceptions, appearing harmless, even beneficial, while hiding its destructive intent beneath layers of charm or utility. Consider the allure of something that initially appears good but leads to harm. It could manifest as a well-meaning opportunity, a relationship that seems perfect, or advice that sounds wise but subtly compromises your principles. Evil knows that overt wickedness often triggers resistance, so it chooses instead to appeal to your sense of goodness or ambition. A person is less likely to question what seems aligned with their values, and this is where the danger lies. This principle can be observed in the way small, seemingly inconsequential actions can grow into significant moral dilemmas. A dishonest decision may be justified as necessary under the circumstances, or a harmful behavior may be rationalized as harmless because of its perceived short-term benefit. These minor deviations from the path of integrity, though easily dismissed at first, often set the stage for more significant betrayals of conscience later on. Once a habit forms, the ability to distinguish right from wrong becomes blurred, leaving a person vulnerable to further manipulation. Deceptive camouflage also thrives in the distortion of truth. Words and ideas can be twisted just enough to maintain a surface-level resemblance to what is right, yet their essence is altered. For instance, love can be redefined as tolerance for all actions, even those that harm others. Freedom can be recast as the absence of accountability. These distortions prey on noble ideals, using their facade to justify behavior that would otherwise be recognized as harmful. The danger of such deception is compounded by its appeal to human desires. Pride, ambition, and fear are among the emotions that evil exploits. An opportunity to gain recognition or power may seem justified, even when it requires stepping on others to achieve it. Similarly, the fear of missing out or being judged can push individuals to compromise their values for acceptance or success. These manipulations exploit our deepest vulnerabilities, making it all the more challenging to discern the true nature of the choices before us. Recognizing deceptive camouflage requires more than intuition. It demands deliberate discernment and a commitment to seeking truth. It involves pausing to question motives, evaluating actions against enduring principles, and resisting the temptation to accept things at face value. This vigilance is not born of paranoia, but of wisdom, an acknowledgement that what is easy and appealing is not always good or right. The antidote to deception lies in anchoring oneself to unwavering truths and remaining alert to the subtleties of falsehood. Those who cultivate such awareness can see beyond appearances, safeguarding their integrity and walking confidently in the light, unshaken by the shadows that surround them. Isolation is a tool that darkness wields with precision, often leading individuals into vulnerability without their realization. When a person is separated from their community, support systems, or even their sense of purpose, they become an easy target for despair, confusion, and spiritual attack. The danger lies in the subtlety with which isolation creeps into one's life, often masquerading as independence, self-reliance, or even a necessary retreat from conflict. Yet, beneath this guise, isolation erodes resilience and fosters a fertile ground for destructive influences to take hold. At its core, isolation disconnects a person from the lifelines that provide strength, accountability, and encouragement. In moments of solitude, doubts can grow louder, fears can feel more overwhelming, and lies can appear more convincing. Without the balance of external perspectives, an individual may struggle to discern truth from deception. This is why isolation is so effective. It cuts off the voices that remind us of our worth, our purpose, and our ability to overcome challenges. Evil understands this and exploits it masterfully. When a person withdraws, whether physically, emotionally, or spiritually, they often lose sight of their intrinsic value. Isolation can distort one's sense of identity, leading to feelings of insignificance or unworthiness. These thoughts, left unchecked, can spiral into a state of hopelessness, making it easier for negativity and harmful influences to take root. A person who feels alone may begin to believe they are powerless to change their circumstances, further deepening the cycle of withdrawal. This tactic of isolation does not always occur in obvious ways. It can begin with a small offense that leads someone to pull back from relationships, or a busy season that makes connection feel less urgent. Over time, these patterns can solidify into habits, creating walls that are difficult to tear down. Technology, while often a tool for connection, can also contribute to isolation when it replaces genuine human interaction with superficial engagement. A person may have hundreds of online friends, yet feel utterly alone in their struggles. Isolation also weakens the defenses that come from shared wisdom and collective strength. In a community, burdens are carried together and victories are celebrated as a group. The encouragement of others can provide the energy to persevere in challenging times, while accountability can keep a person from straying into harmful choices. When these benefits are removed, the individual becomes more susceptible to self-doubt and missteps, lacking the reinforcement needed to stay on the right path. The antidote to isolation is intentional connection. It requires seeking out relationships and environments that foster growth, truth, and mutual support. Even in seasons when solitude feels necessary, one must remain vigilant against the type of isolation that leads to spiritual and emotional vulnerability. This means prioritizing authentic connections over superficial interactions and embracing the courage to reach out, even when it feels easier to retreat. Isolation may feel like a refuge in the short term, but it often leads to long-term harm. The strength of a community, the comfort of shared burdens, and the wisdom of collective experience are powerful safeguards against the lies and traps that thrive in solitude. Corruption rarely arrives with bold declarations or dramatic actions. Instead, it works subtly, weaving itself into the fabric of daily life with such quiet persistence that its presence often goes unnoticed until it has taken deep root. Its power lies in its gradual nature, eroding moral foundations, one small compromise at a time, until what once seemed unthinkable becomes accepted, even normalized. This insidious process makes corruption one of the most dangerous forces to guard against, as it feeds on complacency and thrives in the shadows of unnoticed choices. At the heart of corruption is the ability to distort what is right and good. It does not typically start with a blatant abandonment of principles, but with small justifications. A minor ethical lapse, an overlooked responsibility, or an excuse for selfish behavior may seem harmless in isolation. Yet each of these decisions paves the way for greater transgressions. Over time, the erosion of integrity can leave individuals and communities vulnerable to much larger failings. The slow and incremental nature of this process makes it particularly difficult to detect, as no single moment feels like a significant turning point. One of the most effective tools of corruption is rationalization. It convinces individuals that bending the rules in small ways is necessary or justified. A lie may be told to avoid confrontation, a shortcut taken to achieve a goal, or a responsibility neglected for the sake of convenience. In each case, the immediate consequences may seem insignificant, reinforcing the belief that such actions are harmless. However, with each step down this path, the line between right and wrong becomes blurrier, making it easier to compromise further. Corruption also thrives in environments where accountability is weak or absent. Without the presence of others to challenge or correct behavior, individuals can fall into patterns of self-justification. Pride and arrogance often accompany this isolation, convincing a person that they are above reproach or beyond the need for correction. This creates a dangerous echo chamber where poor decisions go unchallenged and moral decay accelerates unchecked. Another aspect of corruption's subtlety lies in its appeal to basic human desires. It often disguises itself as ambition, security, or the pursuit of happiness. A person might justify unethical actions in the name of providing for their family, achieving success, or protecting themselves from perceived threats. While these motivations may seem noble on the surface, they can easily become excuses for behavior that ultimately undermines integrity and trust. To combat the subtle influences of corruption, vigilance and self-awareness are essential. It requires a commitment to examining even the smallest decisions through the lens of truth and integrity. Surrounding oneself with honest and principled individuals can provide the accountability needed to resist temptation and stay on the right path. Moreover, fostering a strong sense of moral clarity, anchored in enduring values, can act as a guide when faced with moments of doubt or pressure. The fight against corruption is not one in grand gestures, but in the everyday decisions to choose what is right, even when it is difficult or inconvenient. By remaining alert to its subtle influences, individuals can safeguard their integrity and contribute to a culture of honesty and virtue that resists the creeping tide of decay. Temptation often does not appear as a glaring threat, but as an appealing opportunity, cloaked in charm and ease. Its power lies in its ability to disguise itself, presenting as something beneficial, harmless, or even virtuous. This subtle approach makes it far more dangerous than obvious transgressions, because it works its way into the heart and mind under the guise of good intentions or personal gain. By the time its true nature is revealed, it has often already caused harm. Disguised temptations thrive on exploiting human desires and weaknesses. They often appeal to noble instincts, such as the desire for love, success, or acceptance, while leading individuals down paths that compromise their values. For instance, the pursuit of excellence can be twisted into obsessive perfectionism, or the desire to care for others can devolve into overreach and manipulation. Temptations take what is inherently good and distort it, encouraging actions or choices that seem reasonable in the moment, but carry unseen consequences. One of the most subtle disguises of temptation is convenience. Choices that offer immediate gratification or an easier path often seem harmless, but they can divert individuals from long-term goals or moral commitments. A shortcut in work, a hasty decision in a relationship, or a moment of indulgence in unhealthy habits may not seem significant at first, yet these small decisions often set a precedent, creating patterns that lead to larger compromises. Over time, what once seemed minor can grow into a defining trait, altering the course of a person's character or destiny. Temptation also wears the mask of necessity. It whispers that certain actions are justified because circumstances demand them. This is particularly effective in situations of stress or fear, where the temptation to cut corners, tell a lie, or abandon principles can feel like the only viable option. The rationalization process begins with convincing oneself that the ends justify the means, even if those means conflict with deeply held beliefs. What starts as an exception quickly becomes a habit, eroding the foundation of integrity. Another dangerous aspect of disguised temptations is their ability to appeal to pride. They can inflate one's sense of self-importance, convincing individuals that they are above reproach or entitled to special privileges. This illusion fosters a sense of invincibility, making it easier to dismiss concerns or warnings from others. Pride blinds individuals to the consequences of their actions, creating a fertile ground for poor decisions to take root and flourish. Resisting disguised temptations requires a disciplined awareness and a strong moral compass. It involves examining motives, questioning easy solutions, and remaining vigilant against the subtle distortions that temptations present. Wisdom is essential, knowing not just what seems right, but what is truly right, even when it is inconvenient or difficult. Surrounding oneself with trusted advisors or mentors can provide valuable perspectives, helping to uncover the hidden dangers of appealing choices. Temptation's strength lies in its subtlety, but its defeat lies in clarity and conviction. By consistently aligning actions with values and truth, individuals can see beyond the disguises and make choices that honor their integrity, safeguarding their path and purpose. Discernment is the compass that guides decisions and judgments, ensuring they align with wisdom and truth. To dismiss it is to lose a critical safeguard against error, deception, and harm, yet this dismissal often occurs subtly, not as an outright rejection but as a gradual neglect. The consequences are profound, as discernment, once sidelined, leaves an individual vulnerable to flawed choices and external manipulation. The dismissal of discernment often begins with overconfidence in one's judgment. This self-assurance, while sometimes necessary, can blind individuals to their own limitations. When someone believes they already know enough or trust their instincts without question, they may ignore the need to evaluate situations with depth and care. Over time, this pattern fosters a habit of making impulsive decisions or relying on surface impressions, leaving little room for careful thought or critical analysis. Another common way discernment is dismissed is through distraction. In a fast-paced world filled with constant information and noise, it is easy to bypass reflection in favor of quick conclusions. The pressure to keep moving, to decide quickly, or to multitask can lead to superficial evaluations of complex situations. In this state, key details are overlooked, and nuanced understanding is sacrificed for convenience. The result is a tendency to make decisions based on incomplete or inaccurate perceptions. Discernment is also undermined by the influence of external voices. Whether through societal norms, peer pressure, or persuasive rhetoric, individuals may find themselves adopting views or making choices that do not align with their values. When discernment is not actively practiced, These influences go unchecked, and decisions are shaped more by external expectations than by internal conviction. This is especially dangerous when those external influences carry hidden agendas or promote ideas that are ultimately harmful. Another factor contributing to the dismissal of discernment is the desire for immediate gratification. Discernment often requires patience, as it involves weighing options, considering consequences, and seeking guidance. In contrast, the lure of instant results or relief can lead individuals to bypass this process. The temptation to act quickly, without thorough consideration, can result in choices that satisfy short-term desires but create long-term complications. The dismissal of discernment is not merely an individual issue, it can have broader implications. In relationships, workplaces, and communities, the absence of discernment can lead to misunderstandings, poor leadership, and conflict. Decisions made without proper evaluation can ripple outward, affecting not only the person making them, but also those in their sphere of influence. To reclaim discernment, intentionality is required. It begins with humility, acknowledging the need for guidance, reflection, and learning. Practicing discernment involves slowing down, asking questions, and seeking perspectives that challenge one's assumptions. It also requires a commitment to values and principles, ensuring that decisions are not swayed by fleeting emotions or external pressures. Discernment is not just a tool for avoiding mistakes. It is a means of aligning one's life with truth and purpose. By refusing to dismiss this critical faculty, individuals can navigate challenges with wisdom, integrity, and clarity, safeguarding themselves against the pitfalls of impulsive or misguided. Fortifying the soul is an essential act of resilience and preparation in a world that constantly challenges inner peace and moral integrity. The soul, being the core of one's essence, must be nurtured and strengthened to withstand the trials of life and the subtle influences that seek to corrupt or weaken it. This fortification is not a one-time effort, but a continuous commitment to spiritual growth and personal discipline. To fortify the soul, one must first recognize its intrinsic value. The soul is not a fleeting or superficial aspect of existence, but the seat of identity, morality, and purpose. Understanding this significance inspires a deeper commitment to its care. Just as one would protect something precious from harm, the soul must be shielded from influences that drain its vitality or distort its perspective. This begins with an honest appraisal of the environments, relationships, and habits that either nurture or harm the soul. Guarding the soul involves cultivating practices that strengthen its foundation. Reflection and introspection are vital, allowing individuals to examine their thoughts, motives, and actions with clarity. These practices encourage self-awareness, helping to identify areas where the soul is vulnerable or has been neglected. In doing so, they also provide an opportunity for renewal, enabling one to replace harmful patterns with ones that foster growth and resilience. Discipline plays a crucial role in fortifying the soul. The strength of the soul is often tested in moments of temptation, adversity, or doubt. Developing discipline ensures that these challenges do not erode one's integrity or derail one's purpose. Discipline manifests in various forms, setting boundaries, maintaining focus, and consistently choosing what is right over what is easy. Each act of discipline strengthens the soul's capacity to endure and thrive. Equally important is the nourishment of the soul through connection to higher principles or truths. Faith, whether in a divine power, a moral code, or a greater purpose, provides the soul with a sense of direction and strength. This connection offers comfort in times of uncertainty and fortifies the soul against despair. It also inspires courage, reminding individuals that their struggles have meaning and that they are not alone in their journey. The company one keeps also influences the soul's fortification. Surrounding oneself with uplifting, principled, and supportive individuals creates an environment where the soul can flourish. These relationships serve as mirrors, reflecting both strengths and areas for improvement, and as anchors, providing stability when the storms of life arise. Forgiveness and gratitude are additional pillars of fortification. Holding on to bitterness or resentment weakens the soul, trapping it in a cycle of negativity. Forgiveness releases this burden, allowing for healing and renewal. Similarly, gratitude shifts focus from what is lacking to what is abundant, fostering a sense of contentment and resilience. Fortifying the soul is not merely about defense, but about thriving. It is about cultivating a life of purpose, integrity, and peace in the face of life's inevitable challenges. By investing in practices that strengthen the soul, individuals equip themselves to navigate adversity with grace, resist corruption with conviction, and live a life that reflects their deepest values and aspirations. In conclusion, the journey to safeguard oneself from the subtle yet destructive influences of evil requires unwavering vigilance, intentional effort, and spiritual resilience. Recognizing deceptive camouflage, embracing the power of isolation, resisting subtle corruption, discerning disguised temptations, and fortifying the soul are not just strategies, but vital principles to live a life of purpose and integrity. Each step involves introspection, courage, and a commitment to align actions with higher values. Remember, the battle is often subtle, but through awareness, discipline, and reliance on divine wisdom, victory is not only possible, but promised. By strengthening your soul and guarding your path, you protect not just yourself, but also your ability to influence the world positively. Thank you for listening with an open heart. May these words inspire and empower you to walk boldly, resist deception, and live in truth and freedom. Stay blessed.